Today on Off the Field, I'm sitting here with the owner, founder, and former player for the Miami Fury. I'm so glad that you can join me on Off the Field today because, I think we're at Carter Park, where you guys used to practice at, right?
We practice, and this is our home field.
Okay, so this is the home field. So I mean, it makes it all the better. So I'm glad that you can join me on Off the Field today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So Miami Fury is no stranger to South Florida, right? It is one of the only women's tackle football teams in the area. I want to say in the region. Is that right?
Not in the region, but in the area.
In the area.
Between Broward and Miami area. So we do have other teams in Florida,
Right.
Tampa, Jacksonville, Orlando, and now a new team in Fort Myers.
Nice, nice. So, and those are teams that the Miami Fury team is always competed against.
Correct.
One of those is your rivals too, right?
Correct. And I missed one, Palm Beach.
Oh, Palm Beach.
Palm Beach,
Okay.
yes.
So, which team is the rival?
Our biggest rival over the years was Tampa Bay Inferno.
Okay.
So they have kind of been the powerhouse over the last couple of years. Palm Beach has come in and kind of taken the realm in the last 2 years. So we're Miami Fury is trying to get back up to our level of competitiveness that we've had over the years.
Right. Now, I know you told me that you guys took off this season,
Correct.
to revamp, to get more girls involved, and also to kind of bring in a new generation, right? To change how things are going, right?
Mhm.
But you are a former player yourself. What was the experience like for you as a player? Because now you transitioned to the other side,
Right.
So what was it like as a player?
I loved it. I played 5 years. I started out playing DB, and then I ended up playing. My last position was defensive end.
Wow.
I ended up having 2 knee surgeries, ACL and meniscus. I stopped once I got pregnant with my daughter. So my 5 years transitioned into more the administrative side rather than just the player admin. So like straight admin.
Okay.
But loved it. Wish I could still play, but
Yeah.
my body and running track in college,
Mhm.
that put a lot of wear and tear. And then going to play football for 5 years, definitely wear and tear.
Wow. I mean, the whole shebang, shoulder pads, all the equipment. How is it carrying all of that weight as a woman? Like, how do you actually train for that? What is that process like to get adjusted to?
It's just a transition. Like, I come from track and field, so it's just a matter of with the helmet, your visibility.
Okay.
With the shoulder pads, a little bit of extra weight, but you get that practice, as we practice and get prepared for the season. So we slowly transition from, doing the cardio, getting everybody in shape, and then we do the helmets, then we do the shoulder pads, and then we start with the contact, teach, all the players how to properly tackle.
Right.
So it's a transition, and we always start from the bottom because a lot of girls have not come from tackle football, but
Right.
they're athletes. So at the end of the day, if you're an athlete, or even if you don't have any experience, as an athlete, you can still come out and learn the game.
You said some of them are former athletes, right? You came from the background of track and field, which a lot of girls do down here in South Florida. But also, there's flag football right now, right? Game changer for women's sports landscape.
For South Florida, flag football was really big probably 15 years ago. Now it has revamped, so
Okay.
it definitely has given a lot of girls, especially high school level, because years ago it just got implemented as a high school sport.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely growing in South Florida. A lot of the girls that play in South Florida really go on a national level and
Yeah.
compete all over. So it's a little bit of a transition, but then it's really separate from tackle. But some girls would prefer playing flag over tackle.
Okay.
So it's just more of a preference. If they want more, step into the tackle football realm, it's that opportunity is there. Or now they have an opportunity to go beyond just local flag football where they can actually compete on a bigger scale.
What has been some of the challenges, when it comes to kind of the girls who are choosing flag football over the tackle? What is some of the reasons that you learned that it possibly be? Like, why they gear more towards that as opposed to, getting the full experience with tackle?
Right. Some not aware that there are teams available in their areas. That would be one thing. I think the second would be the financial side, because we're still considered semi-pro because we don't get paid. So we do fundraisers, cover the cost. Some people are a little nervous about the player fee,
Right.
which covers your training, use of uniforms, your travel. Because we do sometimes go out of state, we do have to fly.
Right.
So that can be a little bit, and it's just not knowing the sport. not knowing that they could step in and really get that base and really learn sport of football, on top of, being able to actually play.
Right. So, when it comes to support, basically women's tackle football right now, they need a lot more funding, right? As opposed to a lot of other women's sports and what they get. I mean, lately I've seen a shift, and I'm sure you have too, seen the shift in women's basketball, right?
Definitely.
Now they're getting the viewership, right? First it was the viewership,
Right.
it was also the funding. Aside from those two things, what else do you think needs to happen in order for, women's tackle football or actually Miami Fury to grow down here again?
I think the marketing side out there, letting the female athletes know, like females know that we are here and we
Right.
are recruiting and we are looking to rebuild the program and get more younger players out so that they can kind of pave the way for the next
Right.
generation, because it's having that opportunity. Miami Fury's been around for a long time. We want to get a championship. That's one thing.
Right.
We made it to playoffs all these years. We want the ring, like the Dolphins won again. To have
Yeah.
that championship. So that, that's still my ultimate goal, is to build the program back up to that championship level, get to Canton, Ohio, and
Right.
play on that level and play on that, on that field.
Right.
Definitely represent South Florida.
Yeah, because South Florida is I think it's a gold pot. It's full of athletes, right? Full of some of the most talented athletes in the world, right? And we're not just talking about American sports, we're talking about international sports too. It's already in the right location, for it to grow again. I think that Miami Fury will get so much support these days, right? With that newer generation. What about some of the girls who are also interested in the other side of things, like maybe the coaching aspect of it, right? Maybe they've, had an injury where they know that they can't really be on the field anymore, but they still want to be involved. How does that work? How does that process work?
We have allowed some players that have either injuries or decided they want to transition into coaching the opportunity to kind of learn the system. But we are definitely open to have female coaches.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind having a full female staff. I
That's-
tried to convince some of the retired players to come back and coach. That were some of
Yeah.
the high level, players before we were able to get the visibility. They were like the Mike Fitz, the Warren Sapp type of players.
Okay.
But we weren't at that level on ESPN too, like we are now.
Right.
So they paved the way for all these other younger players to actually have all this visibility that we didn't get when we played. People
Right.
knew, but we didn't have the television, the internet, the social
Social
media,
media aspect,
that these
yeah.
kids have, that they can really grow themselves, even though we're still considered semi-pro, but they could still build on possible NIL deals
Right.
as female athletes. So there's so many opportunities for them and growth within our sport, and our sport continues to grow every year. Our league is doing a wonderful job, the Women's Football Alliance. So it's exciting to see the progression from when I started to where we're at now.
And you know what? I mean, there has been a blooming relationship between women's tackle football and the NFL too, right? Can you just talk about how that's been from, your point of view, and what do you think about the growth and where it is now today?
Well, again, what you said about the WNBA, it's about numbers.
Yeah.
So we have to have the people in the stands. So that visibility, having the fans, having the numbers, having the marketing, all that plays a role in building that relationship with the NFL.
Okay.
A lot of teams have a good relationship with the local NFL teams in their city.
Mhm.
So that helps as well to,
Yeah.
definitely get us out in the community, have that partnership, and show that we are actual professional
Yeah.
football team, not, just like a pickup or anything, but we are
Right.
professionally run organization, and, we put on a professional, game.
Right. Talk about your relationship with the Miami Dolphins. You guys have had a relationship for years.
We have, it's transitioned over the years. We're more volunteer community type stuff. So we work whenever they have their flag events. USA Football comes like once or twice a year. So we work their camps. So we have that partnership there on the community level, working with the kids, working with some college and high school coaches whenever they bring certain training camps
Okay.
to the Dolphin facility.
That's nice. So, I mean, like for young girls, who may want to be involved, I mean, this is a great opportunity because you have that national landscape, and you can reach the levels that you want to reach as far as, the elite level in the sport, right?
Right.
It's not just at a level where you're going to be stagnant,
Right.
Can you talk about some of the success that you've had in the past with some of your players, when they elevate to the next level?
Well, a lot of players that, they've had an opportunity to play the All American, All Star team. So they
Okay.
get chosen to play on even though our team as a whole didn't make it to the championship,
Right.
we have an All American team that gets to play from East Coast, West Coast. So we represent, so they get those opportunities.
Oh, okay.
We've worked, partnered with over the years in the past, like Arizona Iced Tea. We've had Secret as a partnership.
Oh,
They've had an
wow.
opportunity to do Radio Row at the Super Bowl when it was down here in Miami. So
Okay.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
opportunities that you get and visibility that you get being a part of the
Right.
football organization in Miami Fury. We have so many things that come up that we can get involved with that gives them an opportunity to see a different side of football outside of being
The
on the field.
athlete. Right.
Right. So you get those little perks,
That's
to be involved in
awesome.
different things.
Yeah, because it's not just about being successful on the field, right? It's also about what you can do off the field,
Right.
right? Because that's what's important about sports organizations. When you're, grooming athletes and preparing them and training them to be the best athlete that they can,
Right.
some of them take interest in, ventures off the field, right?
Right.
So, have you had any ventures like that yourself?
Phil,
Yeah.
I'm so engulfed in football itself. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of time. One thing I can say with the players that come out from them being professional, like, they're working as an attorney or a student or whatever their, 9 to 5 profession is,
Right.
we still compete at a high level. Even though we're working a 9 to 5, they come and commit to practice, practice in the evenings, practice on the weekends. So if we were rolled into more of a professional level as far as pay, the level of game would definitely step up even more than what it already is based on the limited time that most organizations have practice for
Right.
the athletes. So, and it's also, for some of the younger girls that come in from college and then rolling into their profession and still being able to play and compete
Right.
is nice. It's nice to see their growth and graduating
Yeah.
from college, going on to do their professional jobs.
And another thing that I love to see is that, you have moms out here, right?
Right.
You have regular super moms who are being, super women on the field,
Right.
but off the field, they're being moms. Talk about how you guys, embrace that aspect, of being a female athlete because, over the years, it hasn't always been embraced because it's a male dominated
Yes.
sport. Talk about, kind of your point of view when it comes to that.
Well, from my personal experience, my daughter traveled everywhere with me.
Oh, yeah.
So she was on the charter buses, she was on the
Okay.
airplane, she was on the sideline, at the games
Aw.
because she's with me until maybe you don't have a babysitter or
Right.
just having them close. But other players will bring their kids to practice. I will oversee them. Another mom or another spouse would keep an eye on the kids as we have practice. So it's a family.
Right.
We all look out for each other.
Right.
Things happen. We're usually running the house, so there's things that come
Yeah.
up that can kind of conflict with things, but everybody is a support system. So
Right.
you having kids does not stop you from coming out playing football.
Right. So, I mean, that's something that you can embrace no matter what age, because you have young moms out there too.
Right.
So, another thing is, sexuality, right? There's like some stereotypes, right, that are attached to, being a tackle football team, a women's tackle football team, right?
Mhm.
Some women think about, homosexuality or, being a lesbian, right? But at this point, age is 2024, right?
Right.
That is no longer an issue, right? Like everybody is embraced, everyone is supportive of each other, right? No
Right.
matter, their sexual orientation. Am I right about
You're
that?
correct, because that has no bearing on whether you want to come out and play football.
Right.
If you're willing to come out and you're willing to put in the work and it's something you're really passionate about learning, you have a spot on the team.
Right.
Yeah, all that is null and void.
Yeah.
It's who you are as an individual
Mhm.
and you're interested in the sport and you come out and be a team player.
Yeah.
That's the most important.
And that's really good because, some women still struggle with that.
Mhm.
And they struggle with like being out in the open about it, right? you know, a lot of people would attach, women who want to play tackle football to think about like, okay, they must have been tomboyish or, had boyish ways, but that's not necessarily the case,
It's not.
because at one point in time, we had women's lingerie.
And and we had some players that played on the lingerie
Oh
team.
yeah, what
We
was that
did.
like? Like, what did they say that was like? I know you got the firsthand, feedback about that.
It was a good, it was a good opportunity for some of those players to gain exposure.
Okay.
We went to a lot of the games when we had the Miami team.
Okay.
It was more the guys in the stands as if they've
Okay.
never been out the house kind of situation. But otherwise, they played. It was a good opportunity for them to kind of expand their
Yeah.
visibility as a football player on a bigger scale because they had bigger viewership. They had more money that was backing the
Okay.
whole LFL to be on a bigger stage, televised. So
Mm-hmm.
there's still a few teams I think out there. We have a player that still plays, but she plays for the Georgia team,
Oh
even though she
wow.
lives down here.
Okay.
So there's still visibility. They kind of changed, the name and the system of it compared to
Yeah.
where it started.
Uh-huh.
So it's just a different avenue
Okay.
that the girls have to play football.
Play tackle football. But do you guys, still work together, because it's still as a collective sport, women's tackle football, right? But there are some differences there though, right? Because
The field is different.
okay.
The equipment, I'm not sure if it's still as good old like hockey equipment when they originally started.
Oh,
Yeah,
hockey.
it was a lot of difference when they started as to where they are at now. A lot more safety precautions, I think, from my perspective. I don't know 100%.
Yeah.
So it's still there. It
Mhm.
still gives players opportunity, gives coaches opportunity to coach.
Mhm.
The field size is different.
Right.
So and the rules are different.
Right. Now, when it comes to being on the field, right? Let's actually go out on the field. I want to talk to you and get technical here about how it is being a coach, a founder, and an owner of a women's tackle football.
Okay.
Okay. So, Gayla, I mean, we're back on the field. This is your home field.
Correct.
Like, do you how does it make you feel being back on the field? Do you get any type of like adrenaline rush? Do you have flashbacks? Like, how are you feeling?
To me, it's like home
Okay.
because we love the sport so much. Being out here on the field, under the heat,
Right.
no gear on, but the excitement of football. I love the sport. The players love the sport. We practiced here at the beginning of the year before we decided to go ahead and set the season out. So the players have been on the field, but we also use the grass field in the back for a majority of our practices. We practice 2 days a week and then some Sundays up to 15.
Okay. And so you were saying like there are some benefits as opposed to like practicing just on the turf and then, choosing to practice on the grass.
For me, for knee purposes,
Okay.
because turf can be hard on your knee, so
Okay.
I prefer to stay on the grass as long as we can, and then we come onto the main field, just so they can get a gauge of, the yards, 5 yards, 10 yards, where we are, where the hash marks are, especially for the new players that are learning the game,
Right.
where to set up, kickoff, learning different things like that, how the field is kind of split when you do your coverages. So all that outside of being on the grass fields, there are no lines.
Right.
But for your legs, for your knees, to me it's a lot better and it's less harsh being on the grass than having to practice on the turf. So I prefer the grass.
I mean, but this is a beautiful field. I mean,
Definitely.
you said Carter Park has always been supportive, right?
Yes, we've been here for the last couple of years and they definitely support, the community support. Staff helps out tremendously, so it's definitely helped us regain a home field,
Yeah.
which would be here more. Plus, we get more fans that
Right.
come out at this location. I think it's kind of like an in between, like a Palm Beach and Miami. So it's kind of that center location to where people could see it visibly off
Yeah.
of 95. It's easy to get to. It's accessible, and like I said, it's very friendly. It's open to the community and to anyone that wants to come out. So it's a great park.
When they're on the field, right? So you're teaching them all the techniques from the basics all the way to the actual game itself, right? Like,
Start out with the basics. Usually, how our kind of beginning of the season progresses, we usually do like 2 weeks of cardio.
okay.
You kind of get one shape, get them familiar with the basic terminology, learning how to do a 3-point stance, learning how to do 2-point stance, learning different covers, cover one, cover two, cover three. different areas on the field, and then getting comfortable in the equipment, and then learning that coverage and doing that cardio again. So it's a
Wow.
process, especially, we start at zero
Okay.
because there's so many players that haven't been exposed to tackle football.
Right.
And
Right.
they come from being track player, or track runner, or basketball player,
Even shot put,
even soccer. Our kickers have to learn how to kick under certain, they have a great kick, but to learn to get it between the two goalposts is a
Right.
whole nother.
It's not as easy as it looks.
Especially when you have some big
Yeah.
girls running and rushing you while you're
Yeah.
kicking, that you have to really kind of be on point. So a kicker is very
Wow.
crucial to the team.
How do you kind of determine who's going to play what position? You go based off like what you see in practice, you kind of help gear them towards like, hey, I think you'll be better at this position. Or you have women on the team who can play, multiple positions basically.
It's a combination of all three.
Okay.
So see the player come out, kind of see what their footwork is, kind of, body size. Also, what their interest is. For some players, like, I want to be running back, but they may not be built for running back. Maybe you'll be a good, tight end, or maybe you'll be a good linebacker.
Right.
So it's really gauging kind of where they best fit,
Okay.
and where they'll be best utilized. And of course, have players that can play both sides.
All right.
So that's beneficial to play both sides, but it can be a taxing, especially if you're playing linebacker, if you're on the line, to come back and have to play on offense, or vice versa, playing on defense.
Wow. And, obviously we're in South Florida, with this heat, you know. Like, what about indoor facilities? Those types of deals too. Is that an option when you come to Miami Fury, or is it not really? Okay.
Yeah, we don't run into much of the weather, more of the rain than the heat, because we practice in the evening.
Right.
And then on Sundays, we usually practice early morning to kind of avoid the heat that it is like right now.
Right.
But yeah, usually it's the rain that gives us problems, because the first of the year, February, March, it's still cool at night.
Yeah.
So we benefit from that, and we still get a good workout, but we also use the Sundays so that the players can get the opportunity to get in all that gear and feel all that heat with the extra 5 to 10 degrees on this field,
Right.
to be able to, compete, because most of the time our games are at 7 o'clock. So you're at that in between where it's not extremely hot, but it's still very hot.
Right. You're still gonna feel the burn,
Right.
basically.
Right.
It's okay. I mean, we are on literally your turf. You were a former track and field star, and obviously, but you haven't finished. I haven't seen it. You know who the athlete was. But being on this turf, right? People who want to be a part of the Miami Fury team, right? I know that this upcoming season they have the opportunity to do that. So, how many players are you actually looking for? I get it.
Ideally, 35 maybe players should start the season.
Okay. That's awesome. And I was out of curiosity. Will they be practicing like on the track? Do they have to run on the track to get some extra?
No.
Okay.
We keep it either on the turf,
Okay.
and have them run like suicide or different things like that, or on the grass.
Okay.
And some of the players are like, oh my God, we got to run. Like, yes, you have to run. You have to be in shape. We have to do the cardio part.
Endurance, all of that. It builds all of that up, obviously,
Right.
And you have a full portfolio, just like the guy. Just like the guy. So, for someone to go, or women who want to get involved, how can we get in contact with you? I know you have social.
Yeah, the social media is Miami Fury Football, or Miami Fury, depending on what social media page. We have Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Okay.
Our website is MiamiFuryFootball.com, and then they can contact 786-229-7487.
Okay.
Yeah, so don't reach out.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, Gayla, I'm so excited to see Miami Fury get explosive this season. Okay, I know it's going to be a great turnout for you guys. And I'm so glad that you joined me on Off the Field, to share your story and for people to learn more about Miami Fury, because you guys need to join the team. I mean, it's right here in South Florida, and they've been here for so many years, and they accept all kinds of women. And you don't even have to have any experience. You just need to reach out to Miss Gayla and, take the initiative, be brave, take the courage, and they will support you and embrace you.
Thank you for that.
Yes.